Yo, what's up guys? It's Noah here, and in today's video, we're going to be talking through some player props I like on Prizepicks for today's NBA slate on Tuesday, April the 29th. We got 4 playoff games on Tuesday, which is surprising because we haven't really had any weekday slates where we've had, like 4 or 5 games. A lot of the bigger slates with 4 games have only been on the weekends, but we got 4 games on Tuesday. I'm pretty sure this is going to be our last day of day of the playoffs with 4 games. I think after today, it's just going to be a lot of 2-3 game slates, and then we'll eventually get to only having like 1 game a day. But we got 4 games on Tuesday, so it should be a lot of fun, guys. Got some early player props I do like for tonight. Taking a first look at the board on Monday night, recording this video the night before. Got 2 plays that we're going to share in this video. We're going to break down these plays, talk about why I like them. Now, before we do get started, guys, make sure that you hit that like button down below. If you do enjoy these Prizepicks videos, make sure to hit that subscribe button as well. And if you guys are new to the channel, and if you are new to Prizepicks, if you don't have a Prizepicks account, be sure to go sign up. Use that promo code NOAH when you sign up for Prizepicks with my promo code and place your first $5 lineup. You're going to get $50 in promo funds instantly added to your account. So make sure to go check out Prizepicks if you guys have not yet. And also, I do want to give a quick shout out to Sleeper because we do have a partnership with Sleeper as well. You guys can go sign up for Sleeper. Use promo code NOAH over there, and you'll get your first deposit matched up to $100. So download the Sleeper app, use that code NOAH, get your deposit matched up to $100, and check out all that Sleeper has available. Sleeper is a DFS pick'em app, very similar to Prizepicks, so it's a really simple, easy app to use. You're just picking more or less on player projections. You're building out your lineup. You can make up to an 8-pick lineup on Sleeper. You can mix and match sports, and you can win up to 100x your money. And also, Sleeper does do a ton of discounts throughout the week. They're always doing, discounts on player props. They're doing protected plays, payout boost, multiplier boost. So basically, like a play gives you a higher payout. If you take, depending on what side of the prop you take. But there's always discounts, promotions that Sleeper's doing throughout the week. And if you're into that kind of stuff, which I'm sure most of you are, you guys should go check them out. And again, make sure to use that promo code NOAH when you do sign up for Sleeper. But yeah, let's go ahead and talk about some props, guys, that I do like for Tuesday. Now, I do want to recap our plays from Monday's video before we go over today's plays. So we gave out 2 picks Monday. It's looking like it's going to be a 1-in-1 day. I'm recording this video at halftime of the Rockets-Warriors game. We took Fred VanVleet over 4 assists, and he's got 4 assists at halftime. So we're at least going to get a push on that play. Hopefully he gets another assist, in the second half. For those of you that maybe took that on a sports book or something, that can hit for you. But the play that we paired with the VanVleet assist prop was Davion Mitchell over fantasy score, which I felt really good about. Love that play. Love the spot for Davion Mitchell. He's been playing so good in this series. And Miami just went out and got absolutely destroyed Tuesday or Monday night. I mean, they lost by like 50. I wasn't watching the game, but I checked the box score, like 5 or 6 minutes into the game, and I saw that the score was already like, I think Cleveland was up like 20, like 5 minutes into the game, and Davion Mitchell had like 3 turnovers to start the game. So it was already looking bad right out of the gate. And yeah, I mean, Miami the game was never competitive. Cleveland just ran away with it. So, it's going to be hard for Davion Mitchell to have a good game when his team goes out there and loses by, 50 points. Go figure. But it is what it is, guys. We'll move on to Tuesday. Hopefully we get some more competitive games on Tuesday. And again, I got 2 props I do like for today. So both the props I like for today are going to be fantasy score props, which is something that Prizepicks has available. We will talk about some props I like besides fantasy score, some alternatives that you could take instead of fantasy score for those of you that aren't able to take fantasy score. But if you're on Prizepicks and you can take fantasy score, the 2 fantasy score props I like. First one is going to be Kevin Porter Jr., more or over on 28.5 fantasy score. So Kevin Porter Jr. should be in line for a much bigger role in this game with Damian Lillard out. We obviously saw the terrible injury that happened to Damian Lillard last game, tearing his Achilles, and that led to a big role for Kevin Porter Jr. He went on to play like well over 30 minutes last game. I think he played like 34, 35 minutes. Went on to play 33 minutes, had 42 fantasy score. He subbed in for Damian Lillard when Lillard got injured, and he pretty much played the entire first half. And then KPJ did start the second half in place of Lillard and played, I want to say, like 17 minutes in the second half before getting subbed out for blowout. So I don't know what the Bucks are going to do with their starting lineup today. The Bucks did start Kevin Porter Jr. over or in place of Damian Lillard in the second half last game, and they started Bobby Portis over Brook Lopez. So we might see the Bucks really change up their starting lineup here. Maybe Bobby Portis starts over Brook Lopez. Kevin Porter Jr. I think will start in place of Damian Lillard, but we have seen in the past when Damian Lillard has been out, they have opted to start Ryan Rollins. But in this series, facing a Pacers team that just puts up a lot of points, you kind of have to prioritize offense, and Kevin Porter Jr. just provides way more offense than Ryan Rollins does. And the fact that they started Kevin Porter Jr. in place of Lillard in the second half last game makes me assume that Kevin Porter Jr. is going to start today. And if Kevin Porter Jr. is starting, he's probably playing like 34, 35 minutes. I mean, he played 33 minutes last game after Lillard got injured, would have played more had the game been competitive. And this is a player that has been very productive since he joined the Bucks. Kevin Porter Jr., he has averaged 1.22 fantasy points per minute since he joined the Bucks, and kind of throughout his career, when he was on the Rockets, he was a good per minute guy. When he was on the Cavs for a little bit, he was a solid per minute guy. Like, he's been a player that can be productive when he does get minutes. And if we look at his games without Damian Lillard, when he played at least 23 minutes without Damian Lillard during the regular season, KPJ, he did go over this fantasy score line in 7 out of 9 games with at least 23 minutes without Damian Lillard. So you give me anywhere near 30 minutes from KPJ without Damian Lillard, I think we got a pretty good chance at 28.5 fantasy score, especially in what should be a pretty decent matchup against the Pacers, a team that likes to play fast, a team that, can typically get you into higher scoring game environments. Like, I think of all the 4 games today, this game is most likely to be the highest scoring just because of how the Pacers play. The Pacers just always tend to be in higher scoring games because they play so fast. So I think the matchup's pretty good for KPJ here. The role should be really good without Damian Lillard, and the minutes should be there as well, just because this Bucks team, I mean, they need offense right now. Without Dame, I mean, they're just putting so much on Giannis's shoulders. Obviously, Giannis is going to carry a huge workload, but the guy that could maybe take some pressure off of Giannis and could soak up some usage and provide some offense as well, that is Kevin Porter Jr. So I like Kevin Porter Jr. for more than 28.5 fantasy score here. And if we're looking for a prop besides fantasy score on KPJ, I think my next favorite play would be the over on his points prop, which is currently at 14.5, I do believe. I'm going to sort this by all the games so I can see, so it makes it easier to see. So I think it's 14.5 last time I checked. Let's see, where is it? Yeah, 14.5. So if you can't take fantasy score on KPJ, I think more than 14.5 points is a totally fine, secondary play to take. I mean, last game, KPJ scored 23 points. He was really aggressive offensively. He took, 17 shots, took 7 threes. Like, he's going to be out there chucking just because they don't really have much other, guys that are going to soak up usage and provide offense. And obviously, KPJ can do that. So if you're not going to take fantasy score, which I would take that first because that's definitely my favorite play, KPJ is a guy that can rebound, he can get assists too, and he can get defensive stats, which is why fantasy score I think looks the best. But I do like more than 14.5 points here for Kevin Porter Jr. Just expecting a really big role without Damian Lillard, and I think the books are maybe undervaluing Kevin Porter Jr.'s role without Lillard. I mean, this is a guy that has been per 36, he scores 20 points per 36 without Lillard. Will he play 36 minutes on Tuesday night? It's to be determined, but I definitely think he'll get up there, probably closer to 30 minutes. If he's starting, which I think he does more than likely does start, then maybe he will play 34, 35, 36 minutes. So like that is our first play for today. And then the other prop that I like, next play is going to be another fantasy score. And we're going to take James Harden for more than 44.5 fantasy score. Now, Harden had a huge game in game 1 of this series, went over this fantasy score line, had 56.7 fantasy score. Played huge minutes, 43 minutes, had 32 points, 6 rebounds, 11 assists. But then the last 3 games, he's kind of struggled. 37.1, 39.7, 44.3. However, there's a couple takeaways. So the game where he had 37.1, he played 39 minutes, had 18 points, 3 rebounds, 7 assists, 1 steal, 2 blocks. Wasn't a great game from Harden. Wasn't a terrible game either. I want to say he shot 7 for 17 and 4 for 11 from 3 in that game. So it wasn't a great shooting game. Wasn't a terrible shooting game. And then this game in game 3 when he had 39.7, That game was a huge blowout, and he didn't even play anywhere near full minutes. He only played 34 minutes, which is really low for Harden in the playoffs. Typically, Harden plays like 40 minutes in the playoffs. So he lost about 6 to 8 minutes of playing time in Game 3 because the game was such a huge blowout. And then last game, he obviously lost by 0.2. He went under by 0.2, played 43 minutes, had 15, 4, 11 with 2 steals, 2 blocks. Harden, throughout his career, he has been a really, really good point per minute producer. Obviously, when he was on the Rockets, when he was kind of in his, quote unquote prime, he was one of the best point per minute producers that we've really ever seen. He was a guy that would just go out there and just, put up insane numbers with insane usage. Obviously, he's not that type of player now on the Clippers, but this is still a guy that can be really productive when he does get minutes. And this season with the Clippers, he has averaged 1.28 fantasy points per minute, so he's still been really productive. We know Harden's a guy that can do everything when he's on the floor. He can score, he can rebound, he can get assists. He's also been able to get defensive stats too. He's been getting steals and blocks. Last game had 2 steals, 2 blocks. In Game 2 of this series had 1 steal, 2 blocks. So he can get those defensive stats too. He just can provide fantasy points in so many different ways. And he's going to play huge minutes here. Obviously, this is a big game. It's Game 5 of this series. The series is tied 2-2. I'm sure the Clippers want to go back home with a chance to close out the series. So, they're going to be pushing their guys big minutes. I think if this game's competitive, Harden's playing probably 40 to 42 minutes. And, again, this is a guy that averages close to 1.3 fantasy points per minute. Obviously, in the playoffs, guys' production may be down a little bit just because they're playing more minutes, which leads to them maybe not being as effective. Maybe they're obviously tired. They're going to be playing more minutes. We've seen a lot of guys, their points per minute do kind of drop a little bit in the playoffs just because the defensive intensity picks up, and like I said, guys just have to play more minutes, so they're tired, they're not as effective. But still, Harden's just going to be out there a ton, doing so much, whether it be scoring, rebounding, facilitating. He can provide fantasy points in so many different ways. The matchup against Denver, I think, is also pretty good. Denver's a team you can beat in the pick and roll. That's where Harden kind of excels. Him and Zubac run the pick and roll so good. Jokic has been vulnerable defending the pick and roll this season. Denver has been vulnerable giving up points in the paint. So I do like the matchup for Harden here. I think he's been in this series. I'm pretty sure he's been guarded by Christian Brown, which is a matchup that Harden can definitely win. So I feel like this is a good time to buy low on Harden. His fantasy score line, I want to say last game or 2 games ago was at like 47.5. And I think that's where the line probably should be, is like 47.5. I think we're getting the line a little bit lower today just because Harden has gone under the last 3 games. But obviously, if he's gone under the last 3 games, that doesn't mean he's going to continue to go under. If only it was that easy. I wish it was that easy, but obviously it's not. But I definitely think this is a good opportunity to buy low on Harden after a couple down games. I feel like the scoring is going to pick up for him eventually. That's kind of where he's been lacking, is the scoring. Like in Game 2, he only had 18 points. He had 20 points in Game 2. Only had 15 points last game. Even with the scoring not being there right now for Harden, he's still been putting up a lot of fantasy points because, again, he just does so much when he's on the floor. So I do like that as our second play for today. And if you're looking for a prop on Harden that's, obviously that's not fantasy score, I think the next play I would take would be his over on PRA, which is currently at 35.5. I think that's a fine alternative to fantasy score. If Harden does go over this fantasy score line, it is very likely that he also goes over this PRA. Now, there are chances that he could go over fantasy and not go over PRA if he gets a bunch of steals and blocks, or if he has like a ton of assists, because for fantasy score, assists are worth 1.5 points. So like if Harden gets 15 assists, like that's worth 20 fantasy points. So there's definitely chances that he goes over fantasy but not PRA, but I feel like more times than not, if he goes over fantasy, he probably goes over PRA too. So I do like the over on 35.5 PRA for James Harden as an alternative to fantasy score if you can't take that. But these are the 2 props, guys, that I do like for today on Tuesday. It's a 4-game slate Tuesday, so should be a lot of fun. Again, we haven't had any 4-game slates during the weekdays. They've only been on the weekends. But we got a 4-game slate on Tuesday. Going to be our last 4-game slate of the season. After today, we'll just have a bunch of 2-game slates, maybe some 3-gamers, but mostly 2-game, 3-game slates. Then we'll, obviously, later we get in the postseason, it'll get down to just 1 game a day. But even when we only have 1 game a day, I'm still going to be putting out content for you guys, trying to give you guys plays I like every day when there's games available. So if you guys do enjoy the content that I put out here on YouTube, just hit that like button for me and hit that subscribe button as well, guys. Also, again, if you are new to Prizepicks, if you don't have a Prizepicks account, go sign up, use that promo code NOAH, and when you play $5, you are going to get $50 worth of promo funds instantly added to your account. So check out Prizepicks if you have not yet. But good luck as always. Let's win some money tonight, guys, and I'll see you in the next video.